Hello, everyone. How's it going? I wanted to talk to you guys today about fear, and I want to talk to you about how to love fear and what I've learned about loving fear. So, I'm going to break it down for you guys into three, I think, fairly simple steps that I use to help myself move through fear because I experience fear very frequently. Very frequently. I even felt fear just sitting down to record this video, despite the fact that I have sat down quite a few times to record myself crying on camera and pouring my heart out. I still feel fear around getting back here. And I don't know if that goes away. I I just think maybe we get more courageous, we get more accepting of the fact that fear is here, you know, and maybe try to make friends with it rather than enemies. So I've got this fly that keeps buzzing around. If you notice him, just say hello. I'm trying not to let him distract me too much. But anyway, first step that I wrote down was that you need to acknowledge fear. It's really, really important to acknowledge fear. And so I'm going to give you guys like an example of a recent experience for me in which I went through these steps myself. It was just a few days ago. I was at an event and I started feeling really insecure in one of my relationships. I started feeling really insecure about another person. I was just comparing myself a lot. And I could feel the anxiety in my body. I could hear my mind just racing and racing. And even though I was like just trying to breathe through it and telling myself internally that everything was all right, I was also shutting down. And when I shut down, I disconnect myself from connection with others. And I don't want that. I don't like that. I don't enjoy that feeling of disconnection. So, fortunately, I've been practicing enough to know that rather than forcing myself to sit in that fear, in that situation, in that noisy environment, and just muscle through it, I got up and I walked out of the space and I walked actually a good distance away so that I could be alone. You know, I walked far enough away so that I could be alone and I could just breathe and talk out loud without disrupting anyone or having anyone, you know, cast me some side eyes, going like, what is he saying to himself? So I walked off and I started acknowledging that, hey, I'm feeling fear, you know, and I really think the first acknowledgement is just, it's just an awareness. Oh, there's fear here. I feel tight in my body. I feel closed off or I feel disconnected. That's the acknowledgement. And then once we acknowledge that fear without judgment, because it's very easy to feel fear and have our minds go into the story of like, you're blowing this out of proportion. This is ridiculous. You don't need to be feeling, you shouldn't be feeling fear about this. You know, that's something I hear a lot in my mind. You shouldn't be feeling fear. You know, why are you all worked up? Stop making a big deal out of this. And that's judgment. And we don't judge our feelings. We allow our feelings to be because they're not wrong. They're not wrong. They're there to be felt so that they can be released and we can open back up again, open our hearts back up again to connection and to love. But in order to do that, we have to acknowledge without judgment, let go of the judgment. So I step outside, I wander off, and I start talking out loud to myself. And that brings me to the second step, talking out loud to yourself. I know for those of you, if you aren't used to doing that, maybe that would be weird or might feel uncomfortable at first. But if you're familiar with praying or setting an intention, I have a hunch that most of us talk to ourselves or talk out loud we're not talking to ourselves, maybe we're talking to something, maybe we're talking to a higher power, but we talk alone or talk to trees. So talking out loud, I have learned in my experience, is a really, really powerful tool for my inner child. Really powerful. Because when I start to say something like, it's okay that you're feeling scared. I'll say, it's okay that you're feeling scared. I speak as if I'm speaking to someone else. I speak as if, I don't say it's okay that I'm feeling scared. And I'm not sure if one is better than the other, but I do know that for me personally, saying it's okay that you're feeling scared, or it's okay that I'll sometimes use a plural addressing as if there's multiple people, because I do look at my relationship to myself as having different versions of myself, like Russian dolls. There's the child version of myself. There's a 6-year-old version of me. There's a teenager, there's the 24-year-old. There's all of the different versions of me throughout my life within myself. And I feel it's important to acknowledge them. So when I'm feeling fear, I say out loud, okay, we're feeling fear. It's okay to feel fear. Or if it's anger, it's okay to feel angry. Okay, we're feeling angry right now. We're feeling angry. Why are we feeling angry? What is anger trying to tell us? What is the anger trying to tell me? So I'm walking outside and I'm just talking out loud, and I'm being gentle as I'm talking. Okay, you're scared. You're scared that something's going to come in between this relationship that you care very much about. Are you afraid you're going to lose something that you cherish? And I start asking questions, and I kind of start just almost like pouring out words to give shape to my feelings and the reason why they're appearing. And the more I do that, the more I start to lighten, the more I feel like the fear doesn't have as much power, because it's now out there. It's not just bottled up within me, weighing me down. I'm letting it loose, and I'm giving it light, awareness, acknowledgement, gentleness. And all of those key ingredients then lead me to the third step, which is action. And the action could be a few things bundled up into one. For me, actually, it was several different things that I needed to do for action, So as I was talking to myself, I was like, okay, how do we like to move through fear? We can dance, we can run, we can breathe, we can laugh, we can cry. It's okay. Do we want to cry? Do we want to laugh? Do we want to sing? So I did a few different things, and I encourage you to explore what that action looks like specifically for you. But that night in particular, I did a breathwork exercise for myself, and that breathwork exercise was maybe only a couple minutes. It was very short, but it was enough to immediately shift the chemistry in my mind. And I actually started laughing. I started laughing a lot in this parking lot. I'm standing in a parking lot. No one is around me. Everyone's inside in this event. Standing in the parking lot, and I just start laughing out loud to myself. And I'm sure, I'm sure, from the outside perspective, it was probably an interesting sight to see some lone person standing in the parking lot just laughing out loud to himself and talking out loud. But it felt good, and so I was laughing. And then I believe I also did a little bit of like running. I did some movement. And then when I started feeling like I could go back inside, like I had created the space for myself to allow my fear to exist with me, right? It wasn't about getting rid of the fear. These steps aren't about getting rid of fear. It's about creating enough space to move forward despite the fear that we're feeling. And that's been so important for me to learn and to understand. It's like, I don't know if the fear is going to go anywhere. Maybe I've read things in books and spiritual teachings that it sounds like there are people in this life that have transcended it. But I'm not there yet. I haven't transcended fear. I deal with it very frequently, and I believe many of us do, and that's okay. And we don't have to fight it, and we don't have to get rid of it. We just have to learn to exist with it and not let it stop us from doing what we want to do, from creating what we want to create, from loving what we want to love or who we want to love. You know, fear, as I just heard in a video recently, fear has a purpose. It does protect us. You know, it does protect us. And that protection has been incredibly important to our survival as a species, for our evolution. It's been so, so crucial, right? So it serves a purpose. Fear tells us not to jump off of a 50-foot cliff, you know, because that will probably kill us. So that's useful, right? But there are other situations, you know, like in a relationship with your partner or a friend or family member, where a story is coming up. Our fear creates a story to protect itself from pain, a pain that it thinks is going to kill it, right? But unfortunately, if we listen to that fear, we actually run the risk of creating more division and distance in our relationships, more suffering for ourselves, really. So when I went inside, after I had walked myself as gracefully as I could through my fear, and I made sure that before I went inside, I asked myself, are you ready to go in yet? Are you ready to go inside yet? And I really felt into that. Was I ready? And I did not go. Initially, there was a moment where I asked it and I wasn't yet ready. So I spent some more time with it. And then when the answer was finally yes, I am ready. There's enough space here. I can do this. I went back into the venue. There was music playing. And one of my favorite things to do, as some of you already know, is dance. I love to dance. That is my form of prayer. It's my form of service. I love dancing. And so I went out amongst these strangers. There was a bunch of strangers on the dance floor. And I just started getting down with them. And for the rest of the night, really, just like a couple of hours, I danced like I have never danced before. To get into my body, I danced to express, I danced to release, I danced to remind myself that I am alive. I am here. I am here. And I'm courageous. I'm not fearless. I'm courageous. And fear only has as much power over me as I allow it to have. And I choose love. I choose love. I accept fear. I acknowledge fear, but I choose love. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. And I also wanted to add that I will be making videos every day I'm going to go for a year. For a full year, I'm going to do a video. I'm committing to creating a video every day and sharing it with tools and lessons and knowledge that I've accumulated and been hoarding for the last few years. I've got a lot that I desire to share. I'm ready to share. I'm ready to dance with my fear and love through it all. And I invite you to do the same. You're normal for feeling fear. It's okay if it seems like it's such a silly thing that you're feeling fear toward or about. Don't let it stop you from loving. Don't let it stop you from living. Don't let it stop you from dreaming. Step up to it and recognize I can do hard things. Thank you for listening. If you liked this video, give it a like, subscribe, or leave a comment. I would love to hear your insights. If there's anything that resonated with you, I would love to hear that, or any stories that you'd like to share about fear, or tools that you have applied in your life. If you've already used these tools, you've been using them, let me know. I would really love to get feedback and find out what works for you and how you're doing with fear. How's your relationship with fear? Anyway, I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.